LGBT employees that work for the church or work in institutions owned by the SDA church are in big trouble. There is a report that the SDA church filed a complaint in Maryland asking for the right to fire LGBT employees. This was reported by the dailyrecord.com, and I'm going to give you the details, right? I'm going to give you the details. So when you go to dailyrecord.com, you're going to find this information right there. It says, Seventh-day Adventist Church complaint asks for right to fire LGBT employees. And here is the details. The Seventh-day Adventist Church has issued for the right to fire gay employees, arguing they have the First Amendment right to employ only members of the church in regular standing and to fire those who don't follow church doctrine. The Silver Spring-based organization's complaint, filed October 2nd against the Maryland Civil Rights Commission and Attorney General Anthony Brown in U.S. District Court, argued the Maryland Supreme Court improperly narrowed the state's Fair Employment Practices Act in a decision last year. Plaintiffs believe that all their employees are representatives of the church and are responsible for sharing the church's faith with the world, wrote lawyers for the church and the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty. It is therefore a critical component of plaintiffs' religious exercise that all their employees embrace the church's faith, support its religious mission, and share the faith with others. The church requires employees to be baptized, tithe-paying members in regular standing of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. It prohibits alcohol, tobacco, profanity, remarriage without biblical grounds, and immoral conduct, including but not limited to engaging in pornographic activities, child sexual abuse, incest, fornication, adultery, and homosexual practices. Last year, the Maryland Supreme Court ruled 3-4 in favor of Catholic Relief Services, which argued it had the right to deny health coverage to a gay employee's husband. The court ruled the Maryland Fair Employment Practices Act didn't prohibit discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. The court also narrowed the types of job for which a religious requirement could be imposed under the Fair Employment Practices Act, allowing employers to enforce religious rules only against employees who perform duties that directly further the core missions of the religious entity. In its suit Wednesday, the church argued courts shouldn't decide which activities directly further their core mission. Applying this amorphous standard would require courts to delve into entangling questions of religious doctrine, they wrote. Under any reading of Catholic Relief Services, roles like those of a building services technician or a janitorial manager would now fall outside of redefined religious exemption, the complaint states. This means that for some subset of jobs, plaintiffs' current hiring practices already are in violation of Maryland law. The General Counsel for the Civil Rights Commission and a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office did not respond to request for comment Friday. The Becket Fund has litigated some of the country's most prominent freedom of religion cases in the U.S. Supreme Court. Among those was the 2014 Hobby Lobby decision, which allowed some organizations to refuse to cover their employees' birth control costs. The organization also won a case brought by an incarcerated Muslim man who wanted to grow a beard, and another in which a Jewish synagogue fought New York City's coronavirus restrictions. Most recently, in 2021, it won a case for a religious foster care agency that refused to provide services to same-sex couples. So friends, this was the report gave by the dailyrecord.com, and if you want to read the report yourself, you have the link right in the description. But in a nutshell, what I want to say about the report is that I strongly support it. Friends, I strongly support what the GC has done in Maryland, and I actually believe that other Christian churches would also learn from what the SDA church has done. You cannot be LGBT and still be employed in the church as a pastor or whatever your job is, because the SDA church itself stands for the truth. The church stands for the truth. And so if you are a pastor or if you are a conference officer, you cannot be LGBT and still hold on to your position. No, it doesn't work in the SDA church. It doesn't work in the SDA church. So, friends, I do agree perfectly with what the church has done. But this is going to be a bad news for those Adventists that practice LGBT. I mean, the SDA kingship. Right, this is going to be a bad news for them, but the truth must be actually pursued. We cannot compromise. We cannot compromise as a church. So friends, this is one of the stories that I decided to share with you today. As usual, we share and comment on events that are taking place both within and outside of the SDA church. If you're not an Adventist and yet you are LGBT and you are working in the church or in any of our institutions, please, this is going to be a problem for you, because the church is seeking the right to fire you. Oh God. So friends, let me know what you think about this in the comments. Has the General Conference done well by seeking right to fire LGBT employees, or the church is not just doing well? Let me know what you think in the comments. Friends, this is all that I had to share with you today. My name is Lawrence. See you next time. God bless.